Hi everyone, this is Sean. Welcome back to my channel. Please help me out. Press the thumbs up button. Subscribe, share, comment. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the dialogue. I appreciate all the support of the years. We are approaching 7,500 subscribers, and I'm pretty sure by the end of the year, we'll be at 10,000. That would be so great if we can get to the $10,000 mark. But thank you everybody for helping us get to where we need to be. Truly, truly appreciate it. In today's video, I want to go over the survey results. A couple days ago, I posted in the community section tab of the YouTube channel 2 questions. Those 2 questions are the basis of today's video. If you have not yet already, please go to the community section tab and please vote. We want to know what your opinion is. So the first question that I asked is basically, are you able to shoot a 14 by 14 inch steel target at 25 yards using 1 cartridge? And the results are pretty interesting. So 74% of you said yes. With 1 cartridge? Okay, all right. 7% said no. And 19% says, I don't know. I think that 26% are completely honest, and I think the 74% that said yes,
bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
Let's say maybe they're pushing their luck. Not all of them, but come on, guys. You know what? Look, I'll tell you what. Send me an email, ssundahl, SSUNDAHL @yahoo.com. I want you to go to a position of rest where you have your firearm, the bed of the truck, somewhere by your car, on the bench. Load, make ready, and cold shot 25 yards at steel with a 14 by 14 or smaller target. Let's see. And you could take any position you want. You want to do prone, you want to do kneeling, you want to do standing. Go ahead and send it to me. I know that almost nobody, I don't think nobody's going to send me the video. If you do have a YouTube channel and you send that video to me, I'll feature you in the next YouTube short video or the next regular video that I have, and I'll leave a link to your channel. It will help you with your subscriber base. You don't have to do that. If you want to just send me a video and just say, Sean, can you please not upload this to YouTube? I'll do that too. I mean, you don't have to do this, guys. You don't have to prove your skills to anybody. But I would say that no, 74% cannot hit a 14 by 14 steel target cold with one cartridge. We'll see. We'll see, guys. I'll give you guys a couple of weeks. I know that a lot of you are not located on Bureau of Land Management range area or open area, or you don't have access to a public range, or sometimes your indoor ranges don't reach out to 25 yards. I get it, but send me the video and I'll feature you. And if you don't want me to show your video, then just let me know. Okay, I'll just mention an unknown subscriber. Now, there was another survey that I conducted, and I asked you guys if you can shoot more accurately than a police recruit. And then the numbers are interesting because 55% said yes. And then 10% said no. And 15% said yes or no. And then 21% says, I don't know. And obviously the percentages are going to change because people are going to go back to the surveys and maybe, I don't know, change their results or do the survey for the first time. But I find this rather interesting because 74% of you says that you could hit the steel target at 25 yards, a 14 by 14 steel. But then I asked if you could shoot more accurately than a police recruit, and only 55% of you said yes. Just to let you know that the test of shooting fundamentals is often conducted at 25 yards. If we can get somebody at 25 yards to shoot steel then we have somebody that has the proper grip, that understands trigger control, that understands sight alignment, that understands stance. And I would make an argument that there is some breathing control at 25 yards. I do breathing control at 25 yards. But you have somebody that is practicing all those fundamentals. And I can almost guarantee, I can assure you that if I bring the shooter to the 3-yard line, the 5-yard, 7-yard, 15-yard line, 20-yard line, I'm going to get a more accurate shooter than somebody who cannot hit at 25 yards. I'm going to have somebody that understands the fundamentals and is able to demonstrate the fundamentals at all of those distances. And I would make a good argument that I could bring that person to 75. The SIG 365 series, I am about 72 yards away with just a 3.7-inch barrel. .73 yard. With a red dot though. And we'll certainly talk about that. Another point I want to drive is who is my audience. So some of you have made remarks under the comment section box below, something about private security should not be making these shots at 100 yards, 25 yards. You have to understand first who my audience is. We get an array of different subscribers. We get people who want to just exercise their rights to go to the range, right to bear arms. We have police officers who are subscribers. We have corrections officers that are subscribers. We have retired of both. We have the gun enthusiast. We have former and current military professionals. We have private security professionals. So we do have an array of different shooters. That's 74% that said yes to the 14 by 14. That could be, that number is maybe compiled from those lists of people who have had experiences shooting at those distances. Onwards, I want to bring up a subscriber's comment. His name is Kenny Berger 5377, and he mentions in the state of Ohio the standards. So out of, it looks like you have to make 20 hits in the scoring area, the positive scoring area out of 25, and the distances will vary, and the maximum distance is 25 yards. And I think it was him, I think it was Kenny, explained that you have to be proficient at those distances because you have to be able to take out the threat as soon as you park your car. Maybe you park your car at the curb and then there's somebody that poses himself as a threat. I see where he's totally coming from, and I just thought that this is the most interesting, positive comment this whole month, and it just makes a lot of sense. So let's just say you're working alarm response for a private security company. You park your car maybe across the street, far away, not far away, but maybe like one house away from where the alarm's going off, because you don't want to park in front of the house. That's a tactically disadvantaged position. Let's just say somebody from the door, right, comes out and starts shooting at you. Could you be within that 25-yard distance? And I would say absolutely yes. I'm just generalizing based on the neighborhood that I'm in, but most of the streets are within 35 to 45 feet wide. Most of the streets in the areas where I live, the areas where I work. So it's about 35 to 45 feet wide. When you go door to door, or you go from the street curb to the actual front door threshold, there's a lot of houses. I want to say more than half the houses where you will be meeting a 25-yard distance. Now, the question is, should you be shooting at 25 yards? And I would say, first off, the job of private security is, and anyone else, is to get off the X, get off the danger zone. Do you want to get back in your car? Hell to the no, you don't want to get back in the car. In most circumstances, especially if you're being already fired upon, that's basically, you're going to be your coffin. So what else can you do? Well, you can take cover on the opposite side of the car if that's the safest place to be. Now, if you have a large, maybe an oak tree, don't use the palm trees. The palm trees suck. They're all watered down. But if you see like a large oak tree that's farther from this person, then definitely you want to take that position. If you're safely able to get out of there, then definitely take that position. But you might be stuck at your car. And the only way that you can get from your car to that oak tree or a position of safety is if you gunfight your way out of the situation. So maybe from a prone position, you take a position that is slightly in back of the tire well. And then you can, from that distance, you should be able to accurately place shots on target. Should you do that? I don't know. I'm just saying that I'm giving you guys one nugget so that you could survive the situation. Now, is it the most ideal? I don't know. It depends on the situation, but it's definitely an option to consider. Now, if that person goes and closes the door, then yeah, definitely maybe just run out of there, right? Get out of the situation. But if they're actively shooting at you and your time is running out, okay, you may want to start laying rounds on target. And for that reason, I would argue that you should be practicing at 25 yards. And guys, remember, 25 yards is only 75 feet. It's only 75 feet. Next question is, should you be shooting or practicing at 100 yards? I would say that's rather difficult with a pistol. Okay, we're talking about pistol. I am the range master supervisor where I work. I also teach at the local college, at the police academy. So there's two forms of employment, and I get a lot of experience at the range. I will tell you that at 100 yards, if you have an iron-sighted pistol, it is very difficult for you to be target focused. It's very difficult for you to see what the target is doing. So if you put your front sight on the target, it's very likely that you might not be able to see the hand movement, especially with a pistol. You may not be able to see what they're doing. Did they shoot at you and all of a sudden they're doing this? Are they giving up? If so, is that shot justified at 100 yards where they're doing this? Okay. The thing is, it's very difficult for you to see. With my own weapon, I shot a Glock 22 and I just did my own testing. At about 62 yards, my front sight, that front sight on a standard Glock night sight, covers the entire target. And I have to more or less guess where it's at. Will I be able to see this if somebody gives up? It's going to be very difficult when you add timing into it, stress. It's going to be very difficult at 62 yards. At 50 yards, it's manageable, right? But at 25 yards, I could probably still see what that person is doing. The luxury of the red dot is I can go all the way to 7, now depending how large the red dot is. I can go all the way to about 72 yards, and I can still see what the person's doing. I could bring it all the way back to 100 yards with a 2 MOA dot. I could see what that person's doing, even at 100 yards. If they're doing this, then I can see what they're clearly doing, and that gives me an advantage. Actually, what we train is that after 25 yards, beyond 25 yards, at the range where I supervise at, after 25 yards, we train with a rifle, but sometimes we'll go to 75 yards, and it's kind of just, we're just at this point in time, it's a little bit of competition who can hit the target at 75 yards, and it's like a 10% hit rate. But what we train is that after 25 yards, we're going to start using the rifle. With private security, it's a lot different, you guys, because most of the time, a lot of times, depending on your state, you don't have access to a rifle. And for that reason, you might have to depend on your pistol system. And I say system because that could include a red dot, maybe a stabilization brace, something like that, obviously depending on where you're located. But I will tell you, at 100 yards with a pistol, you stabilize a pistol, even in a prone position, you're going to be able to see, depending on how large the dot is, what that person's doing with their hands. Now, I did some tests inside of Costco. Basically, for those of you who don't know what Costco is, it's basically like your Walmart. Well, I actually don't want to compare the two, the two businesses, but Costco is basically your wholesale shopping center, and I paced 100 yards. And I imagine that if there was an active shooter at the end of the 100-yard hallway or passageway, it'd be very difficult for me to see what they're doing. Unless the muzzle is pointing my direction and they're laying down gunfire, then I would clearly know, like, hey, this is a person of threat. I need to put rounds down range. But even if somebody's holding a gun at 100 yards away inside a Costco, because of the lighting and the different colors of the packaging, it's very difficult to differentiate. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it's rather cumbersome. Guys, do not overestimate your training. Going back to all of these surveys, remember, 74% of you said yes, that you can hit the 14 by 14 inch piece of steel, yet only 55% of you said that you could shoot more accurately than a police recruit. A police recruit gets weeks of training. And a couple days ago, we did have the 14 by 14 inch target. You want to know how many people were able to hit that target out of 19? Our group was 19. You want to know how many was able to hit that 14 by 14 inch target? And they were given different positions. You get to pick standing, kneeling, and prone. The percentage was about 6%, which equates to 3. 3 out of 19 of your professional recruits, okay, those who you think that have a higher skill set than you, those are the accurate numbers. And I was just standing there, I was thinking, can you please just give me some target ammo so I can show how easy it is? None of us were given that. All the range masters were thinking, oh man, like, just give us the opportunity. If you just pay attention to the fundamentals, you can easily, effortlessly hit this 14 by 14 target with steel sights. I'm sorry, iron sights. Effortlessly, guys. I think you guys are giving too much credit to law enforcement recruits. Now, these are not police officers. These are recruits. So right after the academy, they would go out to patrol. I mean, obviously, they had some more classes, but this was their last firearms training day. Right after that, give them a couple months, they'll be on the streets protecting you. Okay? And if your answer is, oh, yeah, I'm one of the 74% that said yes, have you shot at 25 yards? And under what conditions? Was it a position where you got to take your time, load up your magazine, lay on your shooter's mat, lay in an ideal kneeling position, and effortlessly squeeze that trigger? Were you able to do that? Okay, and what type of training have you been doing? Just by yourself? Guys, a couple of weeks ago, I took a class, a sniper course, a 3-day sniper course, DMR course is given by GVPS, Global Veterans Private Security. They actually hosted the course. And Phil Velasco from Dynamic Solutions Group out of Florida did the course. And I thought that the qualification was going to be easy. And then later on, they told me, hey, Sean, we know that you're helping us out with the course, but if you fail this course of fire, you're out. Like, you don't get a certificate of completion. You get a certificate of attendance, but not a certificate of completion. So I thought, oh man, my heart would start pumping. The course was actually pretty tough. You have to run 400 meters, 200 meters, 100 meters back and forth, and then take these precision shots. And if you hit a hostage, you're out. If you miss the first guy, you're out. Okay. That was more realistic, guys. So I'm asking you, how do you train? Are they in combat-like conditions? And when I say combat, I'm not referring to military combat. Okay, combat can happen overseas. It can happen on the streets of Los Angeles, the streets of Atlanta. Combat is combat. Okay. But what type of conditions are you trying to induce stress? Are your instructors inducing stress? And those are the conditions that you need. If you want to take out the active shooter at 100 yards, okay, just don't practice standing there and taking your time. I want you to practice getting from your car, running to the area where you're about to fire, and then fire from that position. What's going to happen is your heart's going to start racing. Your breathing might be under control or out of control, and your sights might not be on target. You might have a difficult time keeping your sights aligned. Those are the conditions, because I'm telling you, the ideal situation, or I'm sorry, the real situation is not going to be where you're going to be down the range and the active shooter is going to be pointing his weapon at you. It's going to be a position where people are screaming. There's going to be down people. They're going to be asking for help, and you're going to be it. Okay, you're going to be that initial responder to the scene. It's going to be you. Okay, so I think that you guys should absolutely be training at different distances. I think at the very minimum, okay, you should be at 25 yards practicing. For state qualifications, I think 15 yards is the max, but 25 yards after you get your permit, I think that's the ideal distance. And why don't I say 15 yards for the state? Well, the reason being is I want you guys to at least be able to have a firearm permit, have those credentials that will enable you to take some of these more advanced courses. Honestly, if it was all if it was 25 yards for all the state courses, you'd have less armed private security officers. And maybe I might change my mind. Maybe I might push for that requirement, because a lot of the gun handling, manipulation, and so-called skills that I see out there, they're not. A lot of private security officers are not proficient, and police officers are not as proficient as they should be as well. Okay. So I want to hear what your input. Do you think that guards should be training at 100 yards? Oh, before I forget, at least be able to stage yourself at 100 yards. If you're a firearm instructor, I highly recommend that you put the target downrange 100 yards away. Start at 100 yards, and maybe from a position of cover, have that security officer move from 100 yards to 75 yards to 50 yards. And then 25, 15, 10, 7, and even 3. Just have a fluid course, but start at least at the distance. And I think at least give them a try, guys and gals. Put a large steel target out there, 100 yards, just see how they do. That way that the security officers can at least assess their shooting abilities and actually tell themselves, hey, I need more training, or hey, maybe I shouldn't take a shot at 100 yards. And then move in. Could you do shooting at 50 yards? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you got to be able to show them what their ability is at those distances. But I think that they should absolutely be training at 25 yards. So that's all I got. Let me know what you guys input on this. If you think that security should only be qualifying at 10 yards, 7 yards, 15 yards, or training at those distances, let me know. Okay. But I will tell you that the 25 yards, shooting at 25 yards, accurately 25 yards, is really a test of all the fundamentals. That's it. Take care, guys.